Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Matters, a weekly half-hour series aimed at supporting leaders. I'm Dr. Kenroy Burke, your host, and I'm so excited this evening to have with me Anthony Greene, the station manager at STARCOM Network Inc. I'm excited because I know this discussion is going to be fantastic. Tell a friend, tell somebody as we start the leadership discussion. But before we do that, let's pause for a cause.
Crumb's Bakery, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Again, welcome back. Again, we want to say thank you so very much to Crumb's Bakery and Crispy Chicken for supporting us for another season as we go into our season 4 of Leadership Matters. Now, as I said to you earlier, we are talking to Anthony Greene. Anthony is the station manager at STARCOM Network Inc. But this evening, I have a simple question to ask Anthony, a question that may be simple to him, but for some of us, it may be a revelation as he shares the information with us. Who is Anthony Greene?
Well, hello, Dr. Burke, and really good to be here. Thank you for having me. Who is Anthony? Anthony's a family man, husband, a father of 2 young children, 9 years old at the end of this month. My son and my daughter is 7 years old, and she's going to be 8 in February. I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian since 17 years old. I'm an elder as well at the Sanctuary Empowerment Center. I enjoy that very, very much. Also, career-wise, as you mentioned, station manager here at STARCOM since March 2021. And I see myself as resilient, a resilient person. Passionate, reserved, yes, but fun-loving. I'm a fun-loving individual. In fact, if you catch me on a good day, I might tell you a couple of jokes and make you smile sometimes. I love to encourage people, I think that we're all here for a reason. Doesn't matter who we are, there's a purpose for us. I believe that. And so I believe, too, that, look, life may have some challenges, but whatever the challenges are, we can overcome. I'm optimistic. That's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. No, Anthony, as I listen to you, as I hear all those different things, there are several persons who really and truly may just know Anthony the broadcaster, the person that they used to listen to on live and enjoy. Some persons, yes, they know Anthony from church. They know him as Elder Greene, and that's the dynamic. So most times we know persons based on where the level of interaction is. But is there anything right now that you would want to share? And I'm doing this to you purposely. I haven't done this to any of my other guests, but I'm going to do this to you purposely. Is there anything that you would want to say to your audience this evening that they would never even imagine about Anthony Greene?
There are actually a number of things, a number of things. So it depends on which one
But you just choose one. This is the beautiful thing is you get to choose one, which would probably be the least embarrassing.
Okay, well, a lot of people know that I cannot hold a note to save my life. If I'm singing, all right. It was once said about me that somebody had lost a bunch of keys, and I had them because I was singing in all of them. All right. But even though the notes may have a problem coming out in voice, I actually did play in the Barbados Youth Orchestra in my younger days, and I played French horn actually in the Barbados Youth Orchestra. So there you go. That's something that's not really known.
And that's something that I will tell you this. I did not know it, and to be honest, I would never have imagined it. But that's
there you
great.
go.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Anthony, for that little snippet of your life. Now, Anthony, you've been in leadership before, but you're now on a new journey. Let's talk a little bit about Anthony's leadership journey towards his current role, what he's currently doing in broadcasting, what he's currently doing in church. Let's talk a little bit about your leadership journey.
Yeah, that's a long journey. So I'll summarize, but I think I've had a love for media and communication for a very long time. From the time I was perhaps around 10 and 11. I think it came from watching my cousin very closely, Tracy Innes at the time, Highland now. And she was older than I am. She is older than I am. And before me, she would have gone on to the States and studied communication. And, she was involved in media in a big way. And I had admiration for Tracy and what she was doing. And I think as a result, I would have followed that pattern. But it was when as far as I remember, I had the opportunity to sit in the Nation newspapers, Nation newspaper, and I don't know. You would remember, Dr. Burke, when as someone who played cricket, I'm sure that you would have looked for your name anytime you scored over 10.
Definitely.
You would have looked for your name in the newspaper in the Sunday Sun, right? I'm not sure how often that was, but
That way was almost every week. Almost every week.
but I went into the Nation from about 13, 14 years old, and I was one of the boys who would take telephone calls and take the scores from around the grounds and enter those scores into the newspaper for the next day, under the guidance of the then sports editor Keith Holder. And it has been in that environment and actually watching the activity in the newsroom at that time. Captain Jarvis, who of course would have been calling for the deadlines and certain things, the stories had to be submitted and proofread because the Sunday Sun had to be printed by a certain time so it could get in the hands of Barbadians. And from then, it was fascinating watching the world of media from then. I had an opportunity then at about 16 years old or 15, 16 years old to do an internship at the Nation, and it was settled. I wanted to be in media. I then went on to Barbados Community College, where I studied media mass communication. And from there, I came to STARCOM Network while I was still at Barbados Community College, actually, thanks to David Ellis, who gave me that opportunity under the guidance of Paul Mears and Eric Nurse in the newsroom, producing sports. That's where that love and that passion started. I then went to Jamaica, where that passion was enhanced, and I did media and communication there with an emphasis on multimedia. But then it was while there that I also developed a passion for marketing as well. And so when I came back, I decided I wanted more. It landed me, guess where? Back at the Nation in marketing. And then I went on to Courts as a manager of marketing there, under the guidance, the management of Paula Phillips and Trisha Tannis. And there I also enhanced, I really had a love for business from working at Unicomer and Courts and rubbing shoulders with the people I had the opportunity to. And as fate would have it, my mom passed, and I had a short stint with the family business when she passed and leading that family business. And it is while I was doing that I came back to STARCOM Network and then onto this post as station manager. The love for media just did not leave. And as a result, I think I really enjoy working in the media and having an opportunity to lead and manage with the team that we have here at STARCOM Network now.
Great, Anthony. So we're talking about a journey that might not necessarily, for some people, look straight line. It didn't start in media and continue every single step in media, but you had a variety of experiences that, interestingly, brought you all back to the same place. Experiences in businesses. Now you interact with businesses in media and bring you all back to the same place. So it's over just a few months now. Just a few months have passed since your journey now as station manager at STARCOM has begun. Tell us what leadership lessons have really probably stood out more than any other with you in your new role.
If I had to say that there is one that stands out for sure, the importance of collaboration, I think.
Mhm.
The collaborating with others as a leader is so important, and not thinking that you can do it all on your own. And I've found that to be very important on the journey so far. It's still not a long time, but that collaboration with fellow managers, and we work with
Mhm.
some experienced persons here at STARCOM Network. We also have a staff that's they're just good at what they do. We also have a good mix of young persons as well who are learning what they're doing as they go on in the job. As you would know, Starcom is a place with a fantastic legacy as well, and that I've come to respect even more. That legacy that is set, and so we have a company that there are expectations of us here at Starcom Network, and so I've found that collaborating with others and getting their perspective of where we are and where we need to go is absolutely critical in getting us to move together in the same direction. And while I'm at that, you said you asked me for two. So the other thing I would point out is culture as well. And you did hear me mention legacy, and there is a strong legacy. The importance of capturing that legacy, so we know what it is that we want to take forward. What is it that stands out about that legacy that people still expect us to be able to carry and to be able to uphold? And then not only the legacy conversation, because that's one thing, but as you know, it's a dynamic world that we're in as well. And as a result, there's a lot of change happening around us. There's a lot of change that has occurred, and so you still at the same time need to be able to set new goals as well, and move towards that. And I think taking a look at the culture of the organization, the desired culture that you want, those are things that I think lessons that I have learned that are important as we move forward.
Fantastic. We're going to take a pause for another cause. So welcome back. We are having a conversation with Anthony Greene, station manager at Starcom Network. Jump in, tell somebody that we are having this conversation on leadership matters in our fourth season this season. So Anthony, let's be a little vulnerable here. During this period of your development as a leader, we had a new role. It's been a short time, and we're not going to grade you as yet. We're gonna give you an opportunity to gain even more momentum. But what's the one thing that you would say that you struggle with as a leader?
I don't mind the grading because the feedback is really good. And so let me just tell you where I need to improve so we can get that particular grade out the way, right?
No
And
problem.
here's the thing: you heard me mention collaboration, and I feel very strongly about that. So I do take time to listen quite a bit, listen to people, listen to those who are working with us, to listen to even our listeners here at Starcom Network, who who feel very passionately. They're very loyal listeners that we have to the four of our stations here at Starcom Network, and they're very involved too. And they know what we should sound like. They know when we are good, and they know when we need to improve. And then there are the advertisers, as well, who, of course, because of the relationship we have with our advertisers, we're able to do what we do. So while listening is important, you can find yourself, being in a position where everybody wants to speak to you. They want to share, and they mean well, and you want to encourage that. But then you have to manage that as well as a leader. That needs to be managed. And if you're not careful, you'll be listening all day long because all of us have got
Very true.
a lot. we want to say. And the truth is that people want to be heard, and that's important. And while you feel like you want to be able to hear the various views and so forth, the important thing is making sure that we streamline that, so we can move on to other leadership activities, management activities. You still have work to do, all right, and that's one of the things that I continue to work on, because when you're finished listening, you still have to go and do your work.
You still have to go do the work.
That's right.
So I do embrace what you're saying. I do embrace what you're saying. But there's a dynamic here that I want to delve into a little bit more. You spoke to the fact that you are working around some seasoned persons, some seasoned persons who've been in broadcasting for years. You pull from, I'm sure you are still pulling from the contributions of Mr. Ellis and some of the others who would have been in this thing for a while. How has that experience been as a young fella? I know you're not as young as you oftentimes may want to portray, but as a young fella, how has that experience been working amongst these stalwarts in broadcasting? You did something. You and the team, you did something recently that I thought was extremely commendable, where you were able to bring other persons who would have been in the organization for years, and you brought back their voices to us, and we really appreciated that. How has that experience been working with these seasoned campaigners as a young progressive station manager?
Yeah, one of the things about me, I am of the very strong opinion that we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
We need people to get the job done, all right? And we need all kinds of people. And as a result, I've learned to embrace, not from very long time ago, embrace different kinds of people, different views. And I mean, I work with some individuals who are very knowledgeable in their areas, and who are very experienced. And I think when you have that respect for others, then they in turn have that respect for you. And you would have mentioned that yes, I'm younger, and I work with some of the others who may be older than I am, but we've been working together for a long time, and so we get to a place where we respect each other's work, and I think that's important. And there are also always good ideas that come from people. I love to hear ideas, because we're very good at giving ideas, but then the implementation part of it becomes
Yeah,
very very interesting.
yeah,
And
understood.
so that's where I like to come in. I like to make sure that we get the coordination going, we get the implementation going, and we can work therefore with each other's strengths.
Yeah,
So many times it's easy to highlight someone's weakness, and what you're not doing right, or what this person is not doing right, what I am not doing right. But what about what we're doing well, and how can we pull that together, help each other out by focusing in and zeroing in on the strengths of each other, but then helping each other with the weaknesses. And when it comes to weaknesses, it's not that we're going to ignore that, because that's a very real
right.
conversation that needs to happen. And that's where the feedback is important, so that we can understand where we need to grow. We can understand where perhaps we're not that strong, but then we lean on each other to be able, then, because the chain is as weak as is as strong as its weakest link, right? So we lean on each other and say, look, we've got a job to do. We've got a objective to achieve. Let's stay focused on that. What can we contribute to make that happen? And where is it that we need the help? Where we may be a little weak or a little vulnerable. And it means being open with each other where that's concerned. So that's how I would answer that question. I've always worked well with teams, always worked well with individuals. I'm not afraid of difficult interactions. That's all part of it. But the honest conversations and being able to understand each other and learn from each other too is important. I've always valued that. You mentioned Mr. Ellis, who I've worked very closely with towards the ending of his retirement, and there are a few others that I've worked with who I've valued the conversations they've had with me. I've learned from them, and I continue to learn from the people around me as well. And that's what makes a difference, I think.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful because there's some young leader who is out there listening and who might be thinking to themselves, I'm young, I'm in this thing, and they feel as though they're in it on their own and they're trying to chart a course that excludes the former generation. And I think that you just spoke a mouthful. Now, Anthony, let's look at this. What advice now would you give to leaders who are navigating transitions during this period? I'm sure that there is a massive transition that's taking place in broadcasting. And I am sure there is. I'm sure that where funds are becoming fewer, persons might very well be thinking, not going to broadcast as much. I'm sure there are persons who are going towards social media as their conduit. There's several different dynamics that you are working with. And I don't want to make it sound this way, but you've been thrown into this job just the other day. How are you managing those transitions? Let's talk to give some advice to some persons who might very well find themselves in a similar situation as you're in today.
Yeah, so I think one of the things we have to look at in any dynamic situation, and this situation is really as dynamic as it gets that we're in. This the environment around us right now here in Barbados and across the world is almost like the perfect storm. I'm not even sure that the best producer of a movie could have thought of this script. It's a perfect storm. But one of the things I'm realizing is you have to have your priorities right. You have to list your priorities, and I'm not talking about a whole set of priorities, about
Mm.
your key priorities. What is it that we're going to focus on?
Yeah.
And the reason and the importance of that is because your mind can take you in so many directions. People can take you in so many directions. The change that's happening could cause your mind to just be spinning. So you have to be settled on what is it that you're going to prioritize. I think that's important. And when we talk about priorities, because it's kind of a broad conversation, I think one of the things we need to look at, we need to come back to simplify it and just what are our values?
Yeah.
And that's not even at the organizational level only. That's very personal because the change that we're going through impacts us, even as
Yeah.
leaders. And I think we let's just understand that many of us are leaders, even without being at a particular position in an organization. Okay, so there are leaders in families, there are leaders at the community level, and there are leaders in organizations, different types. And all of us right now, I mean, the world is crying out for good leadership.
Yeah.
And part of that is settling on our values because in the changing world or in the world that has changed, whatever it has changed and continues to change very
Yeah.
quickly. What is the one
Dynamically.
consistent? Exactly. So what are what's the consistency that we are going to rely on? And it can be our values. What is it that we hold dear to? What are our values as a family? What's our values? So that when things come, don't go in the right direction. We have to make decisions. We understand what it is that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
The settling on our values and our priorities can clarify that muddy water, that clutter of activity that's around us, and so cause us to kind of laser focus on what is important.
Well, you've spoken, and one of the things, Anthony, that you just said that I think that somebody might need to hear again concerning those priorities. Those priorities must be value based. I think that sometimes we prioritize the bottom dollar, literal bottom dollar, and the priorities as a result of that. Once the bottom dollar becomes top, is it was called the bottom dollar for a reason. But when we make the bottom dollar top, we kind of turn things upside down, and you're gonna create some sort of pressure at the end of the day within your organization. How important are people to you in this
Very
entire
important.
equation?
Yeah, very very important. Um, when we talk about priorities, we talk about priorities. There's an acronym that I keep in my head.
Mhm.
when it comes to dynamic situations. Right? So there's priorities that we can even talk some more about because, in a dynamic situation, goal setting becomes important. And when we talk about goal setting, we're not only speaking about being smart with our goals, which we
Mhm.
hear
Mhm.
very often, but in a situation like this, your short-term goals and your versus your long-term goals are both of them become critical. But what
Yeah.
do we do right now?
Right now.
What are the actions that are priority? What are the key things that are needed right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Very often we're told that we have to think 2 years and 3 years and 5 years down the road, but that gets turned upside down because the external environment now is different from what you had. So you can't settle your plans on you can't settle your plans on something that's predictable because that
Yeah.
has now been thrown out the window. And then there's opportunity, right? So that's something that we can part one side from now because I believe that even when things get as challenging as they are, it's because what we expect or what we expect to happen is not happening. There lies the opportunity there for us to think differently and to look at how else we can be productive, how else we can help people or bring about change. But then people is the other one, right? So there's
Yeah.
there's priority, there's opportunity, and there's people. POP.
Mhm.
That's the acronym I keep in my head. And the people part, even though I have it there at the bottom, is for me the most important because we need each other. And there's something that I've kept hearing as it was coming up. No man is an island. How true is that? And even now that we are challenging the way we are, all the protocols and the challenges that people may have with layoffs and just trying to make things work. The business community is challenged in a big way. We need to go back to the days when we heard that. Look, you know, I give my neighbor breadfruit, and my neighbor gave me a bag of guavas. All right.
Yeah.
So, where we literally help each other, where we come on the same page. As I said earlier, people want to be heard, people want to feel valued. In all of this uncertainty, there's fear and there's anxiety. And I think that one of the best things that we can do is to say to each other, look, it's okay. It's not perfect, but it's okay. And we're going to get through this together. We're going to figure this out together. And that takes making sure that we just put our differences aside and look to help each other and make it happen together. People, very important.
Fantastic. We're going to just take one last pause, and then when we come back, I have a question for you, Anthony. I hope you are ready for this question.
Here's some of your best news since the lockdowns. 7 Crumbs Bakery locations are now open on Sundays and bank holidays from 7 in the morning. They are Eagle Hall, Wildy, Fairchild Street, Oystons, My Lord's Hill, Speightstown and Fairview, while the other 10 Crumbs locations open Monday to Saturday as usual. Crumbs for a wide variety of fresh cakes, pastries and bread. Crumbs, so good, even down to the last crumb.
Down to the last scrum. And again, we say thank you to our sponsors for coming on board with us for such an important venture. Now, Anthony, I am always interested in what leaders are doing to bring balance to their lives. There's some persons who don't necessarily believe in balance, but what are leaders doing to bring balance to their lives? I'm not talking about church because for you, church might very well be another one of the jobs that you do. I'm not talking about work because I know there's no balancing in work. You might be balancing portfolios, but there's no balancing there in work. What are you doing? What is Anthony Greene currently doing to bring a level of balance in his life?
Well, I'm always up for taking a moment and trying a game of chess. So, if you don't mind sharpening your skills, maybe we can have a game of chess sometime soon, Dr. Burke.
Mhm.
But and I mean that. I just so mean that. I'm saying that one of the significant leadership thoughts that I've heard recently that I have really tried to take hold of is leading yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And leaders, we need to focus on leading ourselves first. And we speak about leading other people, but leading ourselves. That's so important. And I'm taking that seriously. So, we talk about the world not being perfect, but we ain't perfect either. We make mistakes. There are decisions to make. We don't always get it right. We try to get it, spot on. We do the best we can. But, that starts though with, taking a look at ourselves and not just when something bad happens, but every day. Where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? Where can I improve? Now, in leading yourself, I think there needs to be time taken for self care, where we just, say, okay, you know what? This time here is for me. All right, this is for me. It's for nobody else. It's for me, and I like to do that ever so often. And it happens every week. I know I have to take time for family. That's a priority. We spoke about priorities, so we have to practice what it is that we are talking about. So for me, family is a priority, and you're going to see me take time out with my children and my wife. That's going to be important. But then I'm going to take time out, to watch a game of cricket. All right. It may not be the West Indies because, that may just send your pressure up, no, you've got to support the boys, right?
Or
So
totally depress you.
I'm just kidding. You've got to support the guys. So no, that's just a passing comment. But no, seriously. So I take time to just have a good laugh, and try to relax. As you might see me, if it gets too much where I can't get those important things in, that important time for me where I read and where I relax, then you might see me then go and take a walk on the beach. All right. That is something that I will do just to look at the sunset, look at the skyline and just take a cool walk. I think that is so important in terms of making sure that we reset, so to speak, and we, all those the clutter, all that clutter that can cause anxiety and the things that you try to encourage people about, those same things I think you have to practice for yourself. So, those are some of the things I do, chess, cricket, a walk on the beach, but I try to get it in often, reading the book, those are things that I think we need to do as leaders so that we are making sure that we are in a good position to think clearly. And as I told you before, resilience is one of my themes. And, I've had my fair share of challenges in life where I've learned to be thankful, every day, to be thankful and just to take it easy because things will happen around us. Bad things will happen, disaster will happen, challenges will happen. But then in the midst of it, we've got to realize it is okay. It is okay for these things to happen. It's not going to be a perfect world, but I need to take care of me though and make sure that I'm settled and at peace. And peace of mind is something that you can't pay for.
Very true. So very true. Thank you so very much, Anthony. This has been a wonderful time with you. I want to say thank you for consenting to be a part of the Leadership Matters. This has been Leadership Matters. We had a conversation this evening with Anthony Greene, the new station manager at STARCOM Network Inc. What a wonderful conversation. I encourage you to tell somebody, check on our Facebook page, check on our YouTube channel over the next couple of weeks as we broadcast this episode. Tell somebody about it. This has been Leadership Matters, and I encourage you to be a part of the leadership conversation. God bless you.